First of all, particularly if you're watching from Nigeria, Nigeria is going through one of the most difficult phases in its growth, and I believe this is a growth process. And there are two major factors that are significant that we need to understand the impact on the economy. The first one is the concept of devaluation. Devaluation is the relative loss in the value of naira compared to another currency. In this instance, we're comparing to the reserve currency, the dollar, and of course other major currencies in the world. And that is the pound sterling, Canadian dollars, Australian dollars, and the likes. Those are the challenges that we have. Those are the currencies we'll compare against. Now, why is this very relevant? Because Nigeria significantly is an import-dependent country. What it means is that the bulk of what we consume is brought into the country from other countries. So what it means is that we have to buy those products, and because dollar is the reserve currency, it means that every time we want to bring in something into Nigeria, we need to go look for dollar to buy it from their neighbor, from China, from Vietnam, from Japan, from whichever country that we're buying it from. So that is basically what it is. And because we're demanding for dollar so much, the relative value of naira or dollar compared to naira goes up. It means that we need more naira because it's the law of demand and supply. But I need to be very sure of something. I just changed my screen at the moment. So please, Tope, could you confirm what can you see on the screen now so that I can just kick off and start rolling?
We can see your slides, sir.
Okay, so what is on the board? That's the investment, right?
The money cost.
Okay, can you see the slide I just put there?
No.
Okay, just hold on. So I'm gonna, because I need us to see it. Okay, good. But right now you can see my video, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I started by explaining the fact that devaluation is one of the major challenges that we have to deal with at the moment, and this is because of the dependence on import. We're import dependent. One of the ways we can actually improve the power of naira is to actually increase our own export. So people actually will need to actually pay us, so we get more dollar in terms of payment, so dollar is more readily available, and then the demand relative to the supply that will balance out a bit. Now, the second factor that is affecting investment in this current climate is the concept of inflation. Inflation is a relative loss in the value of naira. What it means is that if you have 100 naira today, by this time next year, your 100 naira, for example, inflation rate today is as high as about 29-30%, or even more at this point. It means that if you have 100 naira today at this inflation rate, in 1 year, the relative purchasing power of that 100 naira has reduced to 70 naira. If you had 100 naira about 2 years ago, that your 100 naira, if you were to apply the inflation rate 2 years ago and last year, your 100 naira is probably is worth about 50 or 60 naira. And we can actually use practical examples within our environment. Because we work within the real estate sector, let me use an example from there. Now, last year, if you add 500,000, you'll be able to buy 1 ton of reinforcement. The same 1 ton of reinforcement today, if you want to buy it, you will need nearly ×3 or ×2.5 of the value you had last year. What it means essentially is that the relative purchasing power has dropped so much that you need 2.5 times the money you had last year to do the same thing. So that shows you that naira, the currency, naira as a currency, is lost more than 70% of its purchasing power. Those are the two things. We're still going to come across them in the course of the conversation that we're going to be having. But that said, let's just quickly move on. The first definition we need to ask, I wish we could make this as interactive as possible. So let me just quickly ask, I don't know if people can just drop it if you were to ask, what is the definition of investment? What is the definition of investment? That is the first thing. If you know it, kindly just drop a message. I like to just check it. Temitope, you can interrupt me at any time and read out those comments. But I'm gonna just hold on. What's the definition of investment? I'd like to get your comment. I like to actually just let me feed from you. What is your definition of investment? If I may ask you, kindly just drop it in the chat. I'm gonna wait for like a minute or two while waiting to just see the comments from you. What do you think is investment? What is investment from your viewpoint? I'm waiting to get your comment. Can you still hear me?
I hear you now, sir.
Oh, okay. I think I was off for a while. What is your definition of investment? If you're in the room, I'd like you to just drop a note. What is definition of investment? But let me just quickly say this. Please do not go to check it because I can guess that some of us are already quickly going on to Google to check the meaning of investment. But because of our time, let's just move on, because I know that most people would just go online and check it anyways. But just hold on, let me just go back to my slide so we can take it from there. All right, thank you. Now, investment can be roughly defined as an asset or item acquired with the goal of generating income or appreciation. Appreciation means increase in the value. So you buy it at 100 naira today, and then by next year, when you want to sell, you are selling at 120, you're selling at 130 naira. What it means is that the asset you bought has increased in value by 30%. It goes from 100, 30% of 100 is 30 naira. So plus that 100, that is 130. So an asset or an item acquired with the goal of generating income or appreciation over time. That is why, for example, if you buy a shop in Ojota, we're building quite a number of shops there, and you buy it at 10 million, can it generate return, or can it generate income? Yes, because you're going to rent it out. Let's say you buy it at 10 million, then you rent it out at 1 million. That is income of 1 million for that year. That is about 10%. Then two, if you decide after holding it for 1 or 2 years, you bought it at 10 million and then you want to sell it at 12 million, that is an appreciation or increase in the value. Now, there are three purposes, there are three reasons why we actually invest. Number one is to preserve the value of our money. Remember when we started earlier, I said that if there are two things that affect investment today and is a major source of concern for people. If you have 1,000 naira last year and you keep it in the bank, this year, that same 1,000 naira would have reduced to about 30, 40 or 50 naira because it's lost the bulk of its value. So, the purpose of investment can be divided into three broad groups. Number one, you want to preserve the value of your money. If you have 1,000 last year, even if it does not go up or increase in value, at least it should not go down in value. That is why cash is not necessarily an investment. It's not the best of investment at all, because you end up losing value due to inflation. Let me just quickly shake the table a bit. A lot of people think that, when you say cash, oh, I don't want to keep my money in naira, I will just go keep it in dollar. Are you aware that even the dollar is actually experiencing inflationary challenge today? It means that if you kept it in dollar, maybe you kept $100 last year, your $100 might be worth about $90 to $95 today. The difference between naira and the dollar is the rate of loss in the relative purchasing power of the dollar is lower compared to the naira. So you cannot, even if you keep it in dollar, it is losing value. So that is what it is. And you can actually, if you go online today and you track what is the value of $5 in 2000, what is the current value of $5 that was held from maybe 2020 to 2021, what is the value today? You will discover that it is no longer $5 that it was. It is now relatively like maybe about $4 or $4.5. So every asset that is not every cash, whichever currency that it is, will lose value. So it's not an investment per se. It does not qualify in this the definition to be an investment, but you should hold it as part of your holding. We're going to talk about portfolio construction when we get to that point. So three reasons why you invest. Number one, you want to preserve the value of your money. Number two, you want cash flow. Number three, you want your money to multiply or to grow or to appreciate. Those are the three basic reasons that we actually invest. But of course, the three challenges are, like I mentioned earlier, but I will add the third one. You said inflation is one. I already defined what inflation is. The second reason is devaluation. It means that the relative value of naira compared to dollar and some major currencies, the relative value has gone significantly down, which is why, for example, last year, if you add 500,000 or 600,000 or 700,000, you can buy $1,000. The same 700,000 or 800,000, if you have it today, you probably will not be able to buy more than $500 or $600. What it means is your I think dollar today is about 1,400. So what it means is if last year with 700 you can buy $1,000, that same 700 today will probably buy only $500. So the relative value of the naira compared to the dollar has gone down by as much as 50%. That is the impact of devaluation on the currency that you hold. So particularly because you're not holding the reserve currency of the world. The third challenge that is facing investment today is instability. Now, let me quickly say this, that irrespective of your investment, when the macroeconomic environment is unstable, it can affect the value of any investment that you have. If you have investment in fixed income instruments, we're going to discuss that later. If you have investment in even in real estate, it can. So part of the discussion today is to ask ourselves, how do you structure your investment? How do you design your investment such that you are protected, whether there's inflation or you're protected against devaluation, you are also protected against the instability in the environment. I'm going to skip the current slide that I have because I wanted us to actually play with figures and ask ourselves, how do we, the impact of inflation on the cash that you decide to hold and you are not investing. Let's just quickly do a brief exercise on that. If you add $1,000 or 1 million naira in 2020, in 2022 or 2023, now that is just like about a year. No, 2022. Let's use 2 years. Let's say you had $1 million naira. If you wanted to convert that 1 million naira to dollar, you would have been able to convert it to about $2,500 because dollar was between 350 to 400 just 2 years ago. And then today the same 1 million will not even be up to 1,000. That is the impact of inflation. But let's look at the impact of inflation. If you add the same 1 million naira about 2 years ago, you will be able to buy 2 tons of reinforcement. Today, if you have $1 million naira, you will barely be able to buy 1 ton of reinforcement. You can see how that affects the impact of that on your money, the impact of inflation, the impact of devaluation. So the question with that, the topic of the webinar, and when this topic was given to me, in my head, the question was that, is this the best of questions? So I'm going to rephrase the question, because the first question we ask ourselves is, because the topic is, the best commercial investment during this period, during this challenging period. That is what the whole webinar is all about. But that is not the appropriate question. So the question I would ask is, what is the best investment? Even this question I'm asking is not the best of questions. So the issue is, the question is, what is the best of investment? What is the best question to ask? Because life solution starts from asking the right questions. When you know the question, I trained as a medical doctor, for example. If you come into the consulting room, diagnosis starts from asking the correct question from the beginning to the end. Once I can ask the correct question, I will be able to say, this is what is wrong with this person. And then I can actually provide solution to the problem that is identified. So let us ask the right question in this scenario. And the right question is, what is the best portfolio strategy and investment for you? There is no general best investment for you. Now, before you start so you need to ask yourself, what is the best investment for me? What is the best portfolio of investment for me? One of the things you need to quickly get to know right now is that there is no single best investment. For you to optimize your investment, you need to have a mixture of different kind of investment in your portfolio.